The way you toughed it out and grinded at Chambers Bay, is that a real point of pride, or do you not want to look back at that experience because I assume it was pretty miserable?
It was something that I knew that it wasn't gonna hurt me anymore. It wasn't going to damage anything else. Vertigo is vertigo. It's tough. But I learned a lot about how far I could really push myself mentally and physically. Even though I felt like I was going to pull out 3 times that day on Saturday, and I didn't feel too flash on Sunday. But I ask everyone all the time. I mean, if you had the opportunity to win a U.S. Open, would you do the same? And everyone kind of says, yeah, we'd do the same. I mean, it's just a matter of how much do you want it. And I really want it. I mean, I'm willing to put my body on the line and stuff like that just to, get a taste of that greatness. But looking back on it now, I mean, if it was any other tournament, I'm not sure if I would have played. But, since it was a major championship and I was close to the lead, I had to really try and push myself to get through it and really see how it went. I mean, I was just counting down the holes to really kind of get myself through it. And it was tough, but after it, I felt like it was a real kind of growing moment for me. Because every now and then we get to a point in our games where it's okay to just go, oh, okay, it's all right, I can just hit it in the middle of the green, or, I don't really need to hold this putt. That's the times when you go, no, I want to make sure I hit my targets. I want to make sure I get on the greens and try and hold every putt. Because the moment you start getting, okay with hitting greens and making 2 putts, that's the moment when you start going backwards. So it was good for me to understand how far I could really push myself and really understand that it's okay to go out there and just keep battling and really try and take hold of that, that win. But, I didn't end up winning, but I learned a lot.
Number 1.
Hey, mate. I'm going to take you back 5 years. If I said to you before this major 5 years ago, that in 5 years' time, you can be exactly where you are now with all your, great finishes or whatever, or you can have one major and no other top 10s in majors, where would you have liked to take?
Nice question. I'd still take this. I'd still take what I have right now. It's just that for me personally, I know that as long as I keep doing the things that I'm doing, it's going to happen. I just got to keep working hard and stay motivated and stay fit. I think it's good to be consistent because, every once in a while you can strike lightning in a bottle. And I don't want to be that one-hit wonder and just kind of go off in the distance. So I want to be a dominant player, and I want to be able to, in big tournaments like this, be able to close and win not only one major but more consecutive majors, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many majors, but I just want to win as many as I can. So I'd definitely take the more consistent route rather than just a one major.
Follow-up question, please.
Yeah, just a good answer. And just on the same token, if I told you 5 years ago that you would be exactly where you are today, would you have believed it? Did you think you were on that path 5 years ago?
I didn't have the belief at that time. And it's taken time. It takes time, especially in golf, because it's such an individual sport where you can be the most confident player in the world and then turn around and have no confidence within a week. And at that time, I was really fighting myself, really trying to believe that I was a good player and I could get to where I am today. But going up as a junior and an amateur in Australia, I was one of the best always. And coming over here, you're not the best anymore. You're a small fish in a big pond, and that's how it works when you turn professional. And I'm glad it happened that way because it made me work harder. It got me a lot more disciplined in a way, and all these things that happened, you know, not having the self-belief, getting injured a lot, all this stuff is good experience for me. I can't look at it as a negative because I wouldn't have changed the things to get better. I wouldn't have changed, you know, wouldn't have had Cornell as my strength and conditioning coach to really push myself to get better with my body and try and prevent more injuries. You know, I wouldn't improve my mental state on the golf course and really kind of take myself from where I was back in 2010 at the PGA to where I am now in 2015 at the PGA. I mean, I've come a long way, and people want it really quick, and people expect it really quick, but over time, I mean, golf is a very long career. You can be out here for 20, 30 years if you really want to. So it's the steady incline, incremental improvement over the years that gets you from point A to hopefully point B, which is way up top of the world rankings and, you know, multiple major championships. And it's just, you can't expect everything so quickly, even though deep down inside you want it to happen, but you just got to be patient with yourself and let it happen.
Number 2.
So you have been placed in second in Masters and U.S. Open multiple times. And Hideki Matsuyama of Japan has placed in fifth in Masters.
Yes.
And he's also trying to win a major.
Yes.
What do you think is his best strength?
Oh, Hideki is a fantastic ball striker. I've got to know Hideki very well over the last few years, and we've become very close friends. We trade text messages every now and then. And just a wonderful person to be around with. And even his caddy Daisuke, his whole team, Mitt and Bob, his translator, they're a fantastic team. Very close-knit team, which is good. That's what kind of reminds me of myself a little bit. And for him to have a close team like that is it's very good for him, not only for his golf, but for his mental side as well, just to understand that there's no one that's going to tell him yes to everything. He's going to understand when he's doing something bad and when he's doing something good. And he's a fantastic ball striker from tee to green. Once he improves his short game a little bit, he's going to be a very dominating force, especially coming out of Japan. I mean, it's amazing to see how much he's improved over the years, especially since winning, you know, the Memorial, and since then he's just starting to kind of blossom into a really solid player and a, you know, top 50, if not top 10, pretty soon player in the world.
Number 1, please.
Jason, returning to this theme about winning, it seems that players talk about discovering the success as some kind of secret. I think it was Jordan who said in Australia last year when he won that he learned there in the process something about how you win. Yeah. And I wonder if you twigged anything when you left St Andrews, went over to Canada and won. If in that process there was something that you discovered that might help you going forward.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was the last round of the British Open or the Open Championship. I felt different, and I don't know what changed, but I felt a lot more calm. Everything was kind of slow paced. Everything felt like a Thursday, you know, rather than it was a Sunday of a major championship. And then, you know, with everything that happened that day on Sunday, I mean, I played phenomenal golf, you know, at the Open Championship. I had 3 bogeys, and that was all in the second round. So there was 3 rounds where I played bogey-free, and then knowing that I was having really good form going into Canada with the short week, because we finished Monday at the Open Championship, I knew that it was going to be difficult just with going back from Scotland back to Canada, Toronto, and time difference was going to be hard. The rest was the most important for me, but I think just the process of everything, really understanding that all the little things, getting the finer details right and correct, and really understanding, communicating well with my caddy Cole. I think that's the biggest thing, is really kind of understanding that communication between a player and a caddy is huge. I mean, a lot of people out there, and especially the fans, don't really understand how important a really good caddy is to a player. And to have Cole as a caddy, know that he's done every bit of information and knows every bit of information about the golf course, puts my mind at ease, knowing that there's not going to be anything that's going to pop up and kind of catch me by surprise. So once we get the finer details correct, it's just all about going in and executing the shots. After that, it's just all about the confidence you have. I mean, we can sit at and talk about how hard people work and stuff like that, but if, the last bit of the puzzle is all up here, having the belief and confidence that you can do the stuff that, that other guys do on Sundays, I mean, is really inside your head. And it's just amazing how, the more and more I, stay out here over the years, the more it's all about the head rather than the whole game itself.
All right, we'll wrap it up with these two. Number 1.
Jason, as somebody who's been in contention so often in the majors, can you just kind of assess or sum up how impressive Jordan Spieth's season has been and just what he's done this year?
Oh, Jordan, I mean, obviously, you talked about it before at Australian Open, where he won that, and then he came over and won at the Hero, and just in dominating fashion. I mean, it's just, what he did at Augusta was just phenomenal. I mean, it's something that you want to do as well, but there's only a certain few people that can do that. It's pretty impressive at such a young age how mature he is, how far he's come, because I remember playing against him in 2010 when I won the Byron Nelson. And I think he was 16 at the time, and he had so much potential, so much game at that point to be a tour player at that age at 16, and now he's 21 or 22 with the amazing year that he's had already. I mean, it's, like I said, it's tough to win, but to be able to do it like that and dominate and have, I think, 13 or 14 top 10 finishes, right now his confidence is through the moon. Whatever he's doing right now, he needs to just kind of bind it all up and know that this is a winning formula for him and never go away from it, because what he's doing right now is working. And, if he stops that, then, hopefully it'll bring us into contention a lot more.
Okay, let's wrap it up with number 4 in the back, please.
Jason, you've stressed the mental game again and again, but you've been out on this course. How much of a factor do you think Whistling Straits will play itself this week?
How much, sorry?
The course itself will play in the tournament this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long golf course. I mean, with the changes that we've had, there's some subtle changes, but the whole golf course itself is still, routed the same way. A few different looks off the tees, a few different greens. It's going to be an interesting PGA Championship with what we had last time we were here with Dustin and all that stuff. But I mean, it's not just the mental side as well that you have to have. It's everything. You have to drive the ball well here, because there's some spots on the golf course. I'd much rather hit 30 yards offline than hit it a yard offline, because you're chipping out because the rough is so thick. So you got to be driving the ball well here, and from there, placement on the greens is huge. Making sure that you're on the right quadrant and you're giving yourself a chance at birdie. Right now it's soft. I don't know how it will go with the rest of the week. I know that we're going to get some weather coming in, maybe possibly Friday, so that could still possibly soften the course up, which will make it just longer than what it is right now. So right now I'm looking at it going, it definitely helps if you're a bomber of the golf ball. It definitely helps if you're a longer hitter. But then again, shorter players have won here. So right now my prep feels good. I feel good about the golf course. I played well here before, and I just got to, keep working at it and go out there and just try and execute and try and be the last guy standing.
Jason Day, many thanks.
Thank you very much for joining us this week at Whistling Straits and today at our PGA Championship News Conference, where you will hear from PGA of America's President Derek Sprague, who is from Malone Golf Club in Malone, New York. You will also hear from the PGA of America's CEO, Pete Bavacqua, and our Chief Championships Officer, Kerry Haig, or from PGA of America headquarters in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. After some brief opening comments, we'll go to Q&A, answer some questions. After the Q&A portion is over, if you want to come up, shake some hands, and meet these gentlemen in person, they'll stay for a couple of minutes afterward as well. So with that, Derek, why don't we go ahead and begin with you, please?
Thank you, Julius. Good morning, everyone. We are excited to be back here at Whistling Straits for the third time. 3 times is a charm. We are here in 4, 10, and then, of course, this year. The Kohler Company has been a great partner to the PGA of America. It is very evident when you talk to the Kohlers, their passion for the sport of golf is incredible. They want to make sure that the game is held in the highest regard, and certainly they pull out all stops to do that. Hopefully you felt that great hospitality here as you've embarked on the Kohler area. Leading the team here on the ground, I'm pleased to say that 3 PGA professionals have done an incredible job preparing years and months and right down to the wire this past week. The PGA General Manager and Director of Golf, Jim Richardson, has a unique position in that he sits on our National Board of Directors, but he also oversees the operations here for the golf operations. And he's done an incredible job balancing both roles, wearing 2 big hats, one serving the PGA of America and also representing the Kohler brand, and making sure that everything is done perfectly for this week's PGA Championship. Also, PGA Director of Golf Dirk Willis has been on the ground here as well, doing an incredible job, making sure he's sort of looking after all the players and filling all the voids of the team, doing an incredible job as well. And then PGA head golf professional Mike O'Reilly has done a wonderful job. He's really big here in player development and on the teaching side, great player in his own right. These 3 gentlemen have over 40 years of experience here at the Kohler Company, and Dirk has been involved with all 3 of the championships, 4, 10, and now 15. So he brings a great perspective. And, like I said, with coming here for the 3rd time now in 11 years, they've really been able to improve the operations and the process each and every time, taking away what happened during that championship and making it better as they move forward. Again, we had our past champions dinner last evening. The comments from the players were unbelievable about the conditioning of the course here, and that is headed up by the Director of Maintenance here and Grounds, Michael Lee, and their respective teams for their hard work in preparing the course. And I think you'll hear Kerry say some comments about that, so I won't steal your thunder, Kerry, too much here. We're pleased again to have the strongest field in golf this week, with 97 of the top 100 players here in the field. It really is a showcase event of majors, and I think they're going to experience not only the great course conditioning, the great course setup that this gentleman on my right will provide, but they're also feeling we heard that loud and clear last night, the great Kohler hospitality, and the whole Wisconsin hospitality here has been warm and welcoming. This is an all-professional field. It's the only major run by professionals for professionals, and we're pleased that we have 20 of our club professionals. These are gentlemen that wear multiple hats. They're like myself. I'm the general manager at Malone Golf Club. We run events day to day. We teach the game. We do PGA Junior League. But these 20 in the field this week also have the unique perspective to be some of the best players in our association, and they'll be playing alongside of the world's greatest players. And it gives me a great deal of honor here to say that in the long drive contest for the second year in a row, one of our club professionals finished in the top 3. Yesterday, our PGA Professional National Champion, Matt Dobbins from Long Island, New York, finished second, only 4 yards behind Anaban Lahiri, so with a shot of 323 yards. So last year, Johan Koch finished third. So the club professionals, can still hit it a long ways. This year, too, again, taking the experience of the 04 championship, the 10 championship, we've really looked at increasing our corporate and spectator viewing areas and enhancements to both those groups that are a vital part of any major championship. We brought our corporate hospitality closer to the action. Again, we learned that from 4 and 10, and certainly we look at that in 15. And of course, we'll take what we learned this year to prepare for the 2020 Ryder Cup that will be held here at Whistling Straits. I'll turn it back to Julius now to continue.
Thank you very much, Derek. Pete, I know you are as thrilled about this venue where we are.
No, absolutely, Julius, and thank you, Derek. I mean, Whistling Straits, it has a history of great drama. When you think back to 2004 with Vijay Singh, 2010 with Martin Keimer, we have no reason to think any differently this year in 2015. Just a spectacular venue, a beautiful venue, a wonderful championship golf course, and the way that the area, the region, quite frankly, has turned out to support this championship in terms of spectator numbers already at this early point of the week have been off the charts. Corporate hospitality, we couldn't be more pleased. And a special thank you to the Kohler family. Obviously, they are one of our most important, critical partners. The relationship we've forged with the Kohler Company, they've been great for the PGA of America. They understand our strategic mandate to serve our members and to grow the game. They've been wonderful for golf. Herb and Natalie, and obviously David and Nina, we couldn't have a better partner at the PGA of America than the Kohler family. And we're excited. We're excited not only for the people who will be joining us here this week. As Derek mentioned, I think the site has become more fan-friendly each and every time with the vantage points for the spectators, the vantage points for our hospitality clients. And then if you're not lucky enough to be here, we're really excited about the broadcast coverage. With our great partners CBS and TNT, we'll reach over 200 million homes. We'll have 28 hours of live coverage. We'll supplement that and augment that with PGA.com, new advancements on PGA.com, on-site and off-site, with the use of drones and Bluetooth coverage and a new array of apps that we really think will bring the PGA Championship closer to the spectators and to the golf fans around the world. So obviously we have our fingers crossed for some great weather and some great drama. We do feel this is one of the great championship sites in the country. We expect and hope for a good week, and then we'll be back here in 4 short years with the 2020 Ryder Cup. So we have a great home here at Kohler and at Whistling Straits, and we couldn't be more thankful. So thank you. Thank you, Julius.
Yep. Thank you very much, Pete. And Kerry, I guess the question for you is, are you ready? Is the golf course ready for the 97th PGA Championship?
Well, thank you, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed we are. It's exciting for me to return and once again help put on our major championship. We are going to have a little discussion about bunkers, and I just wanted to, I guess, clarify what has been done and what we are doing and why we are doing it. As many as you know, we have posted a notice. We gave this to every player in their registration packet. We gave it to every caddy in their registration packet. And we've given it to all of you, the media, so that you are aware of the rule of how we are playing these bunkers this week. Again, we posted it on the locker room notice board and on the starting tees. Questions come up, well, why are we playing it this way as opposed to at Kiawah Island, where we did not play the bunkers? There were no bunkers on the course at Kiawah Island. The difference is here all the bunkers are designed as bunkers, they're built as bunkers, defined as bunkers, and are filled with sand. At Kiawah Island, when we were there, parts of the bunker were shaped, but in many cases, the sand just went off, maybe 20, 30 feet, sometimes 200 feet, sometimes quarter mile all the way to the ocean. There was no definition to where the bunker would stop or start. So in that case, at Kiowa, it made all the sense to play no bunkers on the course. Here, where the bunkers are far more clearly defined, the sand in each of them, as we did in 2004, 2010, and again this year, we are playing them all as bunkers. Also been said, well, why don't you play those inside the ropes as bunkers and those outside of the ropes not as bunkers? Or rake only those bunkers that are raked, you play as bunkers. Well, as you know, we have certain occasions where ropes go through half of a bunker, so half of it is raked, half of it will have people walking through it. And what would happen in a bunker outside if somebody were to grab a rake and rake part of a bunker, or part of the sand, does that suddenly become a bunker? So obviously there'd be so much confusion. We have to have it, we feel as a committee, and are very comfortable with having all the bunkers here play as bunkers, they're built as bunkers, and they have sand in them. So we're very comfortable with it. We were the last 2 PGA championships, and we are continuing to do so again this year. With regard to the golf course itself, Derek certainly touched on the staff, and I would want to make a special mention both of Michael Lee and of Chris Zugel. His staff, his crew are unbelievable. You'll see them 4:30 in the morning, setting it up, getting everything ready. And if you want to ask them how it is to rake almost 1,000 bunkers in the morning and again at night, there's an awful lot of work involved. But outstanding job. We could not be happier with the way the course has been presented. We did have rain on Friday. Last Friday, we had a sort of a steady all-day rain. We had 0.6 of an inch of rain, which certainly softened the golf course. And it was starting to dry out, and then on Monday, the practice round, we actually had 4 suspensions of play in the practice round, which is unfortunately probably a record for us. But with those suspensions, we ended up with another over 1/4 of an inch of rain. So as a result, the course, in honesty, is a little softer than we would want it. But yesterday we had good weather. Today we've got good weather. So our hope and expectation is as we get further on the week, it will dry, firm up a little, get a bit more bounce, and be a little more fiery. But we could not be more excited. The golf course, a great test of golf. Some, relatively short par 4s. With no wind, we certainly expect a lot of good scoring, a lot of excitement. It'd be fun to watch. I can't wait. I wish we were playing today because I think there'll be a lot of great golf played. And yeah, it does have a lot of stern, 3 or 4, 5 pretty stern par 4s. But the best players in the world are here. We are here pretty much to set the golf course up for them to show their skills. We don't want to be in there. The golf course is there. It's a beautiful golf course, a beautiful setting. And I can't wait to see the 97 best players of the top 100 in the world perform and show us what an exciting venue this is. So with that, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Kerry. Derek, before we go to Q&A, I think you have a little bit more news to share, kind of outside PGA Championship week.
Sure. Thanks, Julius. We've had a great major championship season thus far with a great senior PGA championship at French Lick Resort and Colin Montgomery, the great story there, defending his title. He's here in the field this week. But we're really excited about our new partnership with the LPGA and KPMG with the Women's PGA Championship that we held at Westchester Country Club this year. We've already announced for 2016 that we're going clear across the country to Sahalee. But today we'd like to announce our 2017 and 2018 sites. The PGA of America is really excited to announce that the 2017 KPMG Women's PGA Championship will be played at Olympia Fields Country Club, and in 2018 it will be played at Kemper Lakes Golf Club right here in the Chicago area, so not too far away from where we are today. And I know that those 2 clubs will do an incredible job hosting a major championship for the women. I'd like to just have Brian Morrison, the PGA Director of Golf here from Olympia Fields, please stand and be recognized. And thanks for all your work in bringing this major championship to Olympia Fields. Now I'd like to have Steve Josephatis from Kemper Lakes please stand and be recognized. Did Steve make it?
Not here.
Not here yet? Okay, I know they were trying to get here, but This will be a special moment in time for the LPGA and the women's major in the Chicago area and all the fans in this area to really experience a major championship in women's golf. So thank you, Julius.
Very good. Pete, I don't know if you wanted to contribute anything to that special announcement today at all?
No, absolutely. We're excited. As many of you know, this partnership excuse me, with the LPGA and KPMG is an important one to us. You know, hats off to the work that Kerry and his team did this summer at Westchester Country Club. And when you think about being able to bring the Women's PGA Championship with KPMG to Sahalee next year and then to Chicago 2 years in a row, at wonderful venues like Olympia Fields and Kemper Lakes. That's what we were trying to do. That was the vision of ours, of the LPGA, of KPMG, to take this event, this major championship, to some of the very best venues in golf around the country, and we feel we're doing that. And we couldn't be more excited, and we couldn't be more thankful.
Derek, Pete, Kerry, ladies and gentlemen, are very happy to answer any questions you might have right now. Didn't take very long for one hand to go up over there on microphone number 4.
Kerry, hi Kerry.
Hey, Gary.
The forecast does call possibly for some wind tomorrow, and I'm wondering how that would affect the course and your setup. And with players teeing off at as early as 6:45, how late can you wait to make changes that you want to make if you need to make some?
Great question. One of the unique things or the interesting challenges about this golf course is the wind. That's what really makes it so fun to play, so exciting and so difficult. On days when the wind does blow, we know from history that it can be quite a test. We work with the meteorologist on site, and Brad Nelson, who is here, and he's my best friend this week. We talk a lot, 4 times on Monday, talk about the wind strength. And tomorrow morning when we set up at 5:30 or 5 o'clock when we go out, we will make our best decisions based on the forecast that we have throughout the day, just as we do at every other championship round. And a bit of wind will be fun to see. I think it certainly makes the golf course play more difficult, but we'll see what the weather brings. It always changes.
Question on mic number 2, please.
I guess this is best for Derek. Just going back to the Chicago area. Was there a strategy involved with that, or did it just kind of fall that way?
Well, certainly KPMG wants to go in markets that are good to KPMG, and again, the first thing that we do with any of our major championships is to find major championship venues, and we have that in Olympia Fields and Kemper Lakes. And that was one of the early discussions, and Pete, jump in here if you want, that you had with John Viemeyer and Stacy Lewis from KPMG, that they wanted to play major championship sites that the men had played on before. And this certainly fits that mold. So.
And I think there can be some great efficiencies in going to Chicago in back-to-back years. The clubs obviously have a great relationship, working together to make sure that we deliver a wonderful experience in 17, and that same group of people and more people come out and experience it again in 18. I think we can use that really to the advantage of the championship.
And they are both great golf courses.
Yeah.
There's a follow-up question, I'm sorry. Mic
Yes.
2.
Do you see Olympia Fields as a potential future venue for PGA Championship and a senior PGA Championship?
I would tell you, and obviously Kerry jump in, we have had and continue to have a wonderful relationship with Olympia Fields, and we look forward to conducting this championship, and it's our goal to really keep that strong relationship with this unbelievable club going well into the future. We think it's a relationship the PGA of America will have with championships for the next half century.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the folks from Kemper now on board with us. Thanks very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. For those that are looking for interviews with the folks from Olympia Fields or Kemper, they are on site. We'll go back over here on question number 1, please.
One of the nice touches, both here in the media center and all across the golf course, is the banners that fly for the future PGA Championship venues. But there seems to be an omission. You made an announcement a while ago that Trump Bedminster was going to host a PGA Championship in, I think it was 2022. But as we're here, there isn't a single banner, either in the media center or around the grounds, that indicates that Trump Bedminster is going to be hosting it. Has there been a reconsideration? Are there discussions going on? What are we to make of the absence of the Trump-Bedminster banner?
I would say you're to make nothing of it. We are scheduled to go to Trump-Bedminster for our PGA Championship in 2022. As you said, we've announced that. It's a wonderful facility. It's 2 great golf courses. I mean, obviously everybody in this room's aware of the situation and presidential politics that we don't want to get involved in. We're not here to talk about presidential politics. We're certainly here to focus on this year's PGA Championship. But we have a relationship in terms of our 2017 Senior PGA Championship presented by KitchenAid in the Washington, D.C. area, and the 2022 PGA Championship at Trump-Bedminster. Both of those are scheduled.
Question on mic number 1.
Peter or Derek, where are you guys playing the Grand Slam of golf? And do you go back to Trump LA if he wins the election?
Well, again, Doug, we won't be prognosticators here in terms of the presidential election. I think we're all smarter than that. But I would tell you, you know, as you're well aware, we made the mutual decision with the Trump organization not to conduct this year's Grand Slam in Los Angeles. We didn't want the Grand Slam or any one of our events, our championships, to be compromised by politics or to be any kind of a political football. That's not the intent of our championships. That's not what we want to bring to golf. That would be unfortunate. It wouldn't be fair for anybody involved in the Grand Slam. We are certainly considering options for the Grand Slam this year and in the future. We haven't made those decisions. It's top of mind. And I would tell you, when we have definitive news, we absolutely will make a decision and an announcement in that regard.
Thank you. Question on mic number 3, please.
Gentlemen, a few years ago there was discussion that this championship might actually float internationally once in a while, and that I'd want to know where that sort of discussion has ended up. Is it on the back burner completely, since we're obviously well ahead to 2022, like you said, and do you see it being a potential, you know, thing in the future?
You know, as we've continued to develop our long-term strategic plan, that really at its fundamental core is to serve our 28,000 members and to grow the game. However, a critical piece of that plan is a global footprint for the PGA of America. We're in the process of talking with our officers and our leadership and our board of directors of just what that entails. We happen to think that the primary focus of our global footprint should be taking the great education and experience of our PGA members and working with our peer organizations around the country to grow the game. Whether we're growing the game in the USA or growing it in Europe with our friends at the PGA, GB&I, and the PGAs of Europe, that's the mission. I would tell you, have we talked and done an analysis of an international PGA championship? Absolutely. We've learned some very interesting lessons from that, both positives and negatives, as you can imagine. I would say for the moment it's on the back burner. It's certainly not forgotten. It's something we'll always consider, always keep on top of mind. But the larger role and the larger goal of our strategic plan is to make sure that the PGA of America influence and the great relationships we have around the globe are strengthened and increase and are magnified as we move forward.
Mic number 2 over here, please.
Yes, you had announced previously that the Olympics next year will force you to move the PGA to July. Now we're hearing the PGA and the British Open are going to be 2 weeks apart. And if that's correct, can you talk about, were you kind of saddled with that or the decision there?
You know, and Derek and Kerry will jump in. We're tremendous proponents of golf in the Olympics. The PGA of America has had a large role in that. I actually, in my role as CEO, just left an IGF board meeting that we had earlier this morning. So we couldn't be more excited about golf in the Olympics and the future of golf in the Olympics, and quite frankly, the impact that could have around the globe. Next year at Baltusrol, we will conclude the PGA Championship in July. It will end on July 31st. I would tell you, for next year in 2016 at Baltusrol and that part of the country, I'm from the New York market, the major metropolitan market, I actually think it's a great thing. I think we all agree it works to our advantage. It's better for the golf course. It's better for that marketplace. Many people in August leave the area. The temperatures increase. If you think back to 2005 with the heat that we had at Baltusrol, not that there's a magic number there that the temperature goes up significantly in August, but as for that part of the country at that golf course, we're actually quite pleased and think it's going to be a benefit to the PGA Championship. However, it is something we will certainly keep our eye on going forward. As the Olympics move forward, as the PGA Championship moves forward, it is something that we're considering and analyzing. Should the date of the PGA Championship be adjusted down the road? I would say all of that is very much on the table, but nothing has been decided yet.
It's new for everybody. Next year's schedule is new for everybody. So, in talking to a number of the players, they understand the role of golf in the Olympics, and we've been working on the schedule with Kerry for a number of years, just trying to figure out what the best solution is. So next year will be a good test year.
Question on mic number 4, please.
My apologies, but I have to ask you another question about Mr. Trump. And it's, how would you describe your relationship with Trump's organization before the comments about Mexicans and immigrants, and after those comments? And as a Latino reporter, I would be curious to know what are your feelings about those comments.
Well, I would tell you, we have a relationship with the Trump organization as a golf entity. That's what we're focused on. As an organization that has golf facilities around this country and around the globe, as an organization that obviously, if you look at the entities in golf, whether it's us or our friends at the PGA Tour, the USGA, the European Tour, our friends at the R&A, the Trump organization is certainly a factor in golf. There's no doubt about that. The Trump organization is also an employer of PGA of America members. That's critical in their wonderful facilities. I would tell you, as busy as they've been and his team has been, I think presidential politics are probably more top of mind than golf. But we're in constant communication as much as we can be. We're monitoring the situation. As we've said publicly, we certainly don't comment necessarily on presidential politics. We don't agree with everything that's been said or done. But we're monitoring the situation, and we made the one decision about the Grand Slam, and we haven't made really more decisions than that other than what's already previously scheduled.
Welcome to the 97th PGA Championship here at Whistling Straits. I'd like to thank Rory McIlroy for carving out a little bit of time to spend with us here today. Roy, welcome to your 7th PGA Championship, but let's go back one night. Can you tell us a little bit about the Champions Dinner and what was on the menu for you?
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about being a past champion of this event is being able to go to the Champions Dinner every year. Luckily, I was able to host last night, being the defending champion. So, yeah, it was a fun night. I went with sort of a Wisconsin theme type meal. There's a few things in there from the local area, but tried to make sure that there was something in there for everyone to eat. I didn't want anyone going hungry. But yeah, it was good fun. It's obviously always an honor to be able to host. It means you're the defending champion, and to be able to do that for the second time meant a lot to me. And even just to be here to host the tournament, I was very grateful for that. So it was a wonderful night to get most of the champions together, and a nice sort of way to kick off the week.
Okay, beyond your 2 championships here in the last 3 years, you've played over time better in the PGA Championship than any of the other 4 majors. Is there any secret to that, or why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, my record at the PGA Championship has been the best out of all the majors. I think more than anything else, the golf courses that we've played in this tournament have been set up, in such a way that it suits my type of game. It really rewards good driving. If you drive the ball well, I mean, I drove the ball, really well at Kiowa, drove the ball well last year at Valhalla, but even before that, I mean, you go to places like, Hazeltine and back here in 2010, and even somewhere like Oak Hill in 13, places that put a premium on, hitting the ball in the fairway and hitting it quite a long way, to take advantage of that. So I think, it's usually a fair test of golf, somewhere within, 10 to 15 under par usually wins this tournament. So it's not like it prevents the guys from making birdies, but it still penalizes you if you don't hit good shots. And I think that's testament to the PGA of America, and obviously to Kerry Haig, who sets the golf course up. I think he does a fantastic job.
Okay, let's hit the floor. Let's start at number 1 over here, please.
Rory, when you were flying here, were you more concerned about your ankle or your form? And how is your form right now?
I guess more. I guess more worried about the flight in terms of the ankle, just to see if it would swell up at all. But luckily it didn't. And even, it was a 9-hour flight from Portugal to here, and we had to stop in Vermont just to clear immigration and customs. So it was nice to get off the plane, move around a little bit. I've been using a couple of machines to compress it and ice it. So I was able to take advantage of that on the plane as well. So kept the inflammation down to a minimum. When I got off the flight, I was good to go.
Number 2 on our left here.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
In terms of the injury and how it happened, a lot of people seem to think you should be sitting at home doing jigsaw puzzles instead of out playing football with your mates. I mean, how do you respond to that, and how do you balance trying to live a normal life, in inverted commas, with doing what you obviously do in such a...
Yeah, I mean, any time that I go back home, I mean, it's one of the things that I regularly do with my friends is play football. That was like the 4th or 5th time in a 10-day period where I had played football. I enjoy it. We all enjoy it, and it's unfortunate that it happened. I mean, it can happen walking off a tee box. It can happen, falling off a curb on the side of the street. It can happen doing anything, and unfortunately, my foot just got stuck in the turf and went over on it, and I was out for a few weeks. But luckily, it wasn't. It could have been much worse. It could have required surgery. Luckily, that wasn't the case, and I've done a lot of rehab and a lot of hard work to get back as quickly as I could. I was always going to do that. I wasn't trying to focus on any one event to try and get back for. I just wanted to try and get back as quickly as possible, and it just so happened that this is the event that I felt 100% ready to come back and play.
Follow-up question?
I just mean, are you of a mind to now stop doing what you've been doing in terms of playing football and having...
No, not at all. I mean, I might take some precautionary measures next time, maybe, because I rolled my right ankle at the end of 2013. Obviously, I did it a little bit worse here to my left, but maybe wear ankle braces on both ankles. But apart from that, I mean, I'm not going to stop doing what I do. I enjoy that part of my life. I enjoy having that normality in my life, something that I've done since I was a kid, and I won't stop doing that now.
Let's go 4 and then 3. Number 4, please.
Yeah, Roy, just related to that, how serious did you fear the injury was when you first did it?
I mean, I thought I'd broken it, because as soon as I went over on it, I heard like a snap. Obviously, that was the ligament that snapped. And then as soon as I got back to, as well as that, I tore the joint capsule, so that's why it got. I mean, I looked down, and in 30 seconds, it got the size of a tennis ball. Basically, it was because all the fluid came out of the joint capsule, so it just filled up. So there was that, and then when I got the scan that night as well, it showed that obviously I totally ruptured one ligament, and I had a grade 2 in the other. And if that had have been a total rupture in that, then that would have required surgery. So luckily, that wasn't the case. But I mean, it was. For as injuries go, it could have been worse. I was lucky that I didn't do more damage, and thankfully after 5 weeks of hard work and rehab, I'm back playing.
Follow up here.
Is it still hurting? Are you strapped up? What are the mechanics of it?
No, I mean I went for a 20-minute run this morning. I've been basically progressing and working my way up to it. I was going for sort of hour to 2 hour walks, maybe 2 weeks after it happened. Sort of the week of the Open Championship, I was out walking again. Still had the ankle brace on, but then whenever I was rehabbing it in the gym, I'd take the ankle brace on and try to, basically strengthen it up as much as I could. I mean, that ligament that I ruptured, I don't have that anymore. So I've only got 2 ligaments on the outside of my ankle instead of 3. That ligament's basically just scar tissue now. So it's just about trying to strengthen the ankle and maintain as much integrity in it as possible. So I mean, for the rest of my career, it's just going to be a matter of maybe doing a few extra single leg stuff in the gym and wobble cushion stuff just to maintain the integrity of the ankle. But it's really not anything to be concerned about in the long term.
Okay, we're going to go over number 3 over here.
Rory, for a year or two there, you were pretty clearly the man, and then there was everybody else. Are you surprised at how quickly it's become Rory and Jordan? And then secondly, what do you feel about playing with him the next couple days?
I mean, I'm not surprised at all that it's, the narrative has went from me to Jordan and to both of us being here. Jordan has played phenomenal golf for the last 12 months, and even to win the first 2 majors of the year, have a great chance at St Andrews. He's taken up a lot of the limelight this year, which is deservedly so. I mean, he's it's one of the best years of golf that we've seen in a long time. And I guess as well, it's such a we live in such a world that everything's so reactionary and everything happens so quickly that a year ago, after I won this tournament, it was the Rory era, and then Jordan wins the Masters, and it's the Jordan era, and eras last about 6 months these days instead of 20 years. But it's just the way the world is, with social media and everything having to be instant. It's the world that we live in, and I am looking forward to being a part of that group this year. I was a part of it last year, being in the major winners group, and Jordan winning 2 of the majors this year obviously gets me back into that gripping on Thursday afternoon. So something I'm excited about. I knew I wasn't going to have a low-key return to the game, and this definitely isn't it.
Number 1, right front here, please.
Rory, given the short-term attention span or the immediacy that you were talking about just now, could you describe what it was like to be so far removed from the British Open and this World Golf Championship event when you're the defending or the reigning champion at both?
Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be harder than it was. I thought I was going to miss it more than I did. But if anything, having to sit those tournaments out, especially the Open Championship, going back to St Andrews, which is probably my favorite venue in the world, it gave me a huge sense of perspective. When you're playing week in, week out, and you're thinking about winning these tournaments, you get so wrapped up in what you're doing and your own little life and your own little bubble. Sometimes you forget there's a bigger, wider world out there. And no matter whether you win a golf tournament or not, people are going to get up on Monday morning and go to work and do their daily things, and honestly, not a lot of people care. It's like obviously it means a lot to you, and it means a lot to people involved in this game and in golf, and in sport in general, I guess. But it just gave me a big sense of perspective that even though it does mean so much to me and so much to a few other people, in the big scheme of things, it's not life or death, and that's something that I can bring it in with me this week, knowing that okay, it's a big deal, but no matter what happens this week, only a very small percentage of the population really care.
Okay, number 2 on our left, Rory.
To piggyback off Cameron's question, you said when you won the match play that you were kind of motivated by what Jordan had done in the Masters. Are you now motivated by the season he's put together and the gap he's closed in the world rankings?
Of course, whenever you see someone put together a season like this, of course you become motivated, but as well you're inspired. I think the performances that he put in at the Masters and the US Open, and even at St Andrews when he was so close, they were inspirational performances. That something to really for him to be proud of, especially how he handled everything at St Andrews, going into the all the Grand Slam talk and everything. He handled it so well. I think even though I'm not that much older, I think if I was, he was 21 at that point, I probably wouldn't have handled it quite as well as he did. But yeah, it's motivation. Seeing guys like that, seeing Ricky win the Players the way he did. Again, inspirational performance, but again, give me some motivation to go out and try and play even better.
3 right there, please.
And you had 2 wins going into the U.S. Open. You're coming off injury, coming into the PGA. How would you describe the difference in your sort of level of expectations based on that?
Expectation levels are the same. I've played quite a number of rounds of golf. I've been practicing for over 3 weeks, get my game ready, get my game sharp. I feel like I'm playing well. Hitting it well on the range. I've taken that onto the course in practice rounds, and from there, it's being able to take it from there into tournament play with a card in your hand. But I expect to play well. I don't see any reason why I can't bring the sort of form that I've shown in practice rounds and on the range to the tee on Thursday afternoon.
4. Rory, quickly back to Jordan. On that head-to-head, with the 8 rounds you guys have played together, I mean, the fact is you clearly have been the better player, 22 shots better. Do you attribute that to you simply being the more comfortable of the two, or what do you point that to with that lead?
I really don't know if you can look into that at all. I guess the 8 rounds that we have played together, a few of those came before he's done what that he's done this year. We played together at the Players for the first 2 days, and he struggled. He struggled, and what happens? We're all going to have bad days, and it just so happened that Jordan had a couple of off days whenever we were playing together. But I really don't think you can look too much into the head-to-head when guys are playing together, especially in the first 2 rounds. Okay, maybe if it was a final round and we're in contention to win, you can maybe look into it a bit more. But first 2 rounds somewhere else, I wouldn't put too much importance on that.
1.
Is that me? Rory, how much practice were you able to get in with your boot on, and what kind of things did you work on?
Just hit a few putts. It was more just to try and keep some sort of feel in my hands. Hitting some putts, because obviously with the boot, my left foot was a little more elevated than my right, so a lot of my weight was on my right side. But more just to get a feeling in my hands and just keep that same feeling of gripping a golf club, of feeling what it was like. I got some practice in, but whether it was beneficial or not, that's probably another story. But I was always thinking about trying to keep some sort of feeling in my hands for the golf club, so that's why I started to putt and chip a little bit in the boot.
We're on our left, number 2.
Rory, regardless of rank, just from your perspective solely, who's the best player in the world?
If you were to go by this year, you'd have to say Jordan. I'd say if you go over the last 2 years, it's probably a toss-up between Jordan and myself. It's a hard one. It's all okay. We've got the rankings there, but it's all a matter of opinion. People are going to place importance in different aspects of the game, and if people place more importance on some of the parts of the game that I'm stronger at, then they might say that I am. But if some people place more importance on some of the attributes that he's a little stronger than me, then they'll say he is. So I think it's all a matter of opinion at this point.
Follow up, Tom.
I'll tell you at the end of the week.
All right, number 3, please.
Rory, was there at any point, was there anything you were able to do during your downtime that you felt made you a better player for this particular week?
I guess I probably dedicated a little bit more time to my short game in those first few weeks, because I wasn't able to make full swings. We went from putting to chipping to pitch shots and wedges, and then just worked back from there. It was all a stage of progression. But I guess if anything, I dedicated a little bit more time than I usually do to my short game and my putting. So hopefully that pays off.
Follow-up question.
At what point did you think it was realistic that you could play in this tournament?
I had to complete. I played 72 holes walking in Portugal last week, and once I completed that, that was basically like my fitness test. 4 days in a row, 72 holes, playing with no pain, no swelling, no anything like that. Then we knew that okay, you're ready to go. And if I hadn't have passed that test, I wouldn't have been here. We did contemplate maybe trying to do that at the Bridgestone, but doing that in front of the eyes of the media, the eyes of the world, probably wasn't a great idea. So to do it behind closed doors and to see how it reacted, we thought that was a better idea. And once I was able to complete that, I knew it was the right decision to get on the plane and come here.
Number 1, center.
Rory, when you did suffered the injury, there seemed to be outside medical opinion that it could take anything up to 12 weeks to heal. I wonder whether you were given that sort of diagnosis as well, and whether there was any temptation just write this year off.
Not at all. I mean, it was a 6 to 8 week injury. That's what it was from the very start. But with the advancements of medical science, the advancements of physiotherapy, everything. I mean, 10 years ago, someone ruptures an ACFL, they have surgery. Now it's just a program of rehabilitation, trying to get the inflammation down as quickly as you can, get the range of motion back in it, and then gradually strengthen it up. So it was always a 6 to 8 week injury, and then it just depends on each individual and how fast they heal. So an average person with goes to the physio 3 times a week and gets it seen to, they'll probably take between 6 and 8 weeks. But, I had Steve McGregor, who I think is one of the best in the world at what he does. He was with me 24/7 since the injury happened. So to have his watchful eye over me the entire time, that's why I was able to get back, in 5 weeks instead of, so, okay, I was maybe 1 or 2 weeks ahead of what I was told at the start, but I don't think that's any surprise given this day and age and everything that is at our disposal in terms of treatment and machines and everything. So,
Okay, let's go number 3, please.
Rory, looking back at your past wins here, when you win this event, they give you a massive trophy. What are your memories of receiving the trophy, and can you share some of your stories about the trophy in general?
Yeah, whenever I won it first in 2012, the worst thing is, I mean, it's obviously, look, it's great winning this tournament, but having to take all those photos at the end holding this thing, it's a good arm workout at the end of the day. It's heavy. I made a pretty good catch of the lid last year when it was dropped. I've never attempted to fill it. I think it's too big to try and fill or take any sort of drink out of it. But look, it's one of the most iconic trophies in our sport, and to be able to get my hands on it for 2 years out of the last 3 is quite an honor, and trying to make that back-to-back this year and 3 out of the last 4.
Okay, we have time for 3 more. Let's start over with number 2.
Rory, what are you doing better in 2015 than you did in 2014?
Limiting my schedule. What am I doing better? I'm not sure, really. I haven't. Consistency-wise, I mean, if you look at the stats, I'm very similar strokes gained tee to green. I'm probably hitting a few more greens. My proximity to the hole isn't quite as good, but I think that's because I've become a little more, I've tried to stay a lot more patient on the golf course in terms of when to attack and when not to. So I think every year you're always trying to improve, but I think gaining experience each and every year and moving on and trying to learn from that, you try to become a better golfer from that. But from a driving standpoint, I felt like I drove the ball great last year, just as I have this year. But the fractions and the percentages of improvement at this level of the game are so small. So you're always trying to just inch your way up, and always trying to look at some ways to improve. But I don't think, I've said this before, the way I was able to hit a 6-iron or a driver 2 years or 3 years ago, I'm no better at doing that now, but it's just a matter of doing it repetitively and doing it over and over again and gaining more consistency. So I think with experience you become a better player, and if I said there was any part of the game that I want to improve on, it would be my wedge play. I give myself so many wedges into greens, and if you look at my stats this year, I haven't quite been as good as I was last year, and that's something that I want to try and address for the rest of the season.
Number 1, please.
Hey, Rory. I'm just wondering, did you watch any of the Open Championship? And if so, how difficult was that, given I'm sure you wanted to be there to defend your championship? And if you had any thoughts on, when it looked like Jordan might win 3 in a row?
Yeah. Whenever I knew I wasn't going to play, I was saying to everyone, look, I'm not going to watch it. It's going to be too difficult. But once the tournament started, I was fine. I didn't miss it as much as I thought I would. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I watched everything. I didn't watch the playoff. I watched the last 9 holes on Sunday, and then I had to go and do some rehab, so couldn't watch the playoff. But it was an exciting final 9. It was, it was a story of 2 9s that week. I mean, the front 9 was looked like ridiculously easy. Everything was down off the right, and then the back 9 seemed ridiculously hard. Everyone was just trying to hold on. There was very few chances on the back 9, and it was an exciting finish. Jordan holds that big putt on 16. There was everyone was in there with a chance, and it did. It looked like Jordan, had one hand on it, and just wasn't meant to be. Felt like he played 17 as good as he did, and just missed his putt low, and that was that. It was such a bunch leaderboard that any number of players could have won, and obviously it was the playoff, and Zach started the playoff incredibly well and held on. So it was a good championship. It was an exciting one. I think it would have been great for the game of golf if Jordan had have prevailed, but I think Zach was a very worthy winner.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Number 4, last question.
Roy's last question. 12 months ago, you got handed the Bridgestone Invitational Trophy. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are now, re the European Tour's policy not to sanction the event next year. And also, can you sympathise with Shane Lowry, 2 days after he wins the tournament, that he's now got the question of whether he's going to defend in Bridgestone or play the French Open?
Yeah, it's an awkward one. Obviously, with the Olympics being included in the schedule next year, it's made it very difficult for the European Tour and the PGA Tour to schedule their events, and some events are going to lose out because of it, and some events are going to gain from it. Next summer is going to be very condensed. We're going to have a lot of big tournaments in a very short space of time, and it's a difficult one. You've got the French Open, which is the oldest national championship in continental Europe. It's a big event on the European Tour. And obviously they don't want to go up against the World Golf Championship. That's it's not going to happen. The European Tour are too loyal to let that happen to them. So it's a tough one. To Shane, I mean, it's obviously great going back to defend a title. I've heard rumors that the French Open's going to count as 2 tournaments on the European Tour next year for guys that play both tours. They're going to increase the prize fund. Does that mean that the French Open is going to become more attractive to the top players? Probably not. Bridgestone's a great tournament, and whether it's a World Golf Championship or not, they're going to get a very strong field just because of the golf course and because of the history it has in this side of the pond. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you should blame the European Tour or the PGA Tour for this one. It's more of the Olympics has been put into the schedule and everyone's had to accommodate because of it.
Okay, Rory McIlroy, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week. I'd like to thank Mr. Jordan Spieth for spending some time with us today. Jordan, welcome to your 3rd PGA Championship. And I was curious to know how excited you were a couple weeks ago when your teacher, Cameron McCormick, was named PGA Teacher of the Year.
Yeah, I was extremely excited. I think it's well-deserved. I think it was coming, just a matter of time, and really cool this year, just on top of everything that's happened with our team, for him to receive the most prestigious award for what he does, for all the hard work he puts in, the long hours he puts in, just as do a lot of the majority of PGA of America professionals. I think he's the best in the game. That's why I put all of my trust with him, and it's great to see that others think so as well. So extremely honored to be working with him, and I'm sure he's humbled by it, and it's not going to let his head won't get big. It was just another day, and he's back to working hard again.
Okay. I believe you played this course, Whistling Straits, for the first time a couple weeks ago, and of course this week. Can you give us your early impressions?
It's fantastic. Yeah, I played it. I played around Sunday and Monday of last week before going to Akron, and we played in some heavy winds. I saw the teeth of the golf course, and then coming back this week, it's playing soft, which is a little bit surprising, but it's unbelievably healthy. It's extremely well manicured, and tomorrow it looks like the wind will be up again, so that'll be the teeth of the course. If the wind's down, I think there's certainly plenty of scoreable holes, and lower scores will be shot. But tomorrow may be a tougher day to get started. But the course is ready for it. It's major championship ready. The greens are as healthy as I've seen in a long time, and they putt extremely well. So. Yeah, I think we're all very, very excited. The bunkers are hazards out here. There's a lot of them. You almost have to approach it like an Open Championship, where even though the bunkers, you can advance the ball a little further, the ball can squirt out different directions based on this type of sand. So you have to almost approach them as hazards and definitely stray away from them.
Okay, let's hit the floor here. Let's start out on the left here, number 2, please.
2, if I could. The first, you checked out a lot of funky lies over the 9 holes you played. What are your expectations for the week, and how much does mental toughness kind of play into what you might find this week?
Yeah, I checked out a lot of tough lies around the greens, a lot of tricky spots in the rough, because you have a changing rough around the greens, from some of it being bluegrass to some of it being a fescue type grass. It plays extremely different depending on where it lies, so I wanted to get a variety of shots. A lot of it is off the edges of the greens, and it's worst right off the edges of the greens or right off the fairways, and it seems to be mowed where you would have an into the grain lie, and that makes it the most challenging. So I was trying to get as many of those lies as possible, given people are walking off these greens that direction, stomping the grass down to where it makes it harder. So yeah, I played extremely well yesterday in the game that we played on Tuesday. I didn't miss a lot of greens, so today was about a lot more kind of, in case tomorrow with the wind being up, it's going to be harder to strike the ball extremely well. You got to be prepared to have those kind of shots. The mental toughness part comes with recognizing you're going to have tough lies. You're going to get tough bounces on a course like this. If you hit it into a sand trap, it could be, or even into the areas around the bunkers, it can be spotty. So you have to be prepared for the worst. You got to be prepared for the best, and everything in between, as far as walking up and not knowing exactly where your ball is going to be lying, and then trying to pick a plan from there. And so that's what we tried to see today, rolling balls off of greens and around greens. I thought we did a good job with it.
Number 1 in the back.
Jordan, obviously you don't have a chance to win the career Grand Slam, but there's still so much to gain here at the PGA Championship. Right. Not this year, but maybe some other year. Was there a period of disappointment that you had to overcome in the last few weeks and tell yourself there's still so much to gain here?
No, because I never really expected myself of it. I looked at the Open Championship as a major championship, as an Open Championship, and that's it at the time. Of course, after winning the first leg, let alone the first 2 legs, that talk, that noise starts to come about, but it's still a whole nother animal just to win a major in general. So it wasn't expected from my point of view. We wanted to work hard and give ourselves a chance, and I felt like if we did, that we could pull it off. And unlike the first 2 majors, I had a chance to win, and I didn't pull it off. And that was the hardest part to get over for me. It wasn't coming here trying to win a Grand Slam. I knew the history of it. I knew what we possibly could have done, but at the same time, my frustration was only that we were tied for the lead with 2 holes to go, with one of them being a birdie hole, and we didn't close it out, and we didn't even get into a playoff, and that was the hardest part for me. And I certainly have a chip on my shoulder off of that major that I'm wanting to get off. It was a great week. It was with all the surroundings. all the stop and the starting and stopping of play with the crazy winds over there. I thought our patience level was fantastic just to have a chance to win. But even in that chance, it is a little bit disappointing not to come away, just as it is any week. And so this week I'm looking to try and get myself into that position again and see if I can improve on it.
Number 3, right here in the middle.
Jordan, at what point in your youth do you remember hearing about a golfer named Ben Hogan?
I must have been 12 or 13 years old. They have a Ben Hogan Junior Invitational. It's a local Texas junior golf event, and so they take you through his history, and I've read about Ben Hogan's history being a Texas golf legend as well. He and Byron Nelson is two guys to certainly look up to on and off the course, and I know he did some incredible things before and after an almost fatal car crash, and his mental strength and his work ethic are second to none, and it's inspiring.
Here on the left, number 2, please.
Jordan, I know it's been only 2, but you've missed the cut in both of your PGA championships. 1, does that irk you? And 2, has it done anything for you to change your way getting prepared for this week?
Yeah, it irks me a bit. It's frustrating at any tournament if you miss a cut, let alone if you miss a cut multiple times at an event. Similar to like San Diego on the PGA Tour schedule, I've played 3 times now, missed a cut twice. That bothers me because I feel like I can play that golf course well. I did the in-between year. Yeah, anytime you set out to prepare to play your best golf in the major championships. And so if you go into a major, especially the last one where it's your last opportunity to use that major championship formula that year, put it in place, and to go in and to leave Friday, leave Saturday, not be able to play the weekend and watch it on TV, it's a bad feeling. It's one I don't want to experience, and it's not going to impact me whatsoever this week. But certainly looking back, those were a couple frustrating weeks for me the last couple years. It was the only I played the U.S. Open. I played three majors in 2013. And missed a cut in 2 of them, and we've been improving each year in the major championships this year. If I can get in contention again and just not only get over that hurdle of making the cut at a PGA championship, but also trying to contend to win, I think we're going to be a lot more mature in that situation.
So we're on the right, number 1, please.
Jordan, obviously an awful lot of people were looking forward to seeing potentially you going head-to-head with Rory at St Andrews, and of course that didn't happen. How does the dynamic change for you now that he is back from injury, and obviously you're playing with him tomorrow and Friday?
I think that's just what you guys want to see. I think he and I just want to go out there and try and win the tournament. And if we have to, we have to beat each other in order to do that, along with 100 and how many people are in the event? 156 other guys, 155 other guys. It's great. We're all very happy to see him back. I was excited, and what an incredible rehab that was to get back so soon and to get to 100%, because I know he wouldn't play unless he was, especially on this golf course. It's a tough course to walk. So I'm excited. I'm excited to just share a couple days with Rory and Zach as well. I played with Zach last week. He's a good friend of mine. We're going to have a good time, us 3, and hopefully we can all feed off each other these 2 days. If we can all get into contention, it'll certainly be exciting.
Let's go 3 and then 2. 3.
So when you were amateur, Hideki Matsuyama ranked fast on world ranking, and you two were rival, but you won the Masters first. What's your impression on Hideki Matsuyama, and what do you think is a chance of winning major for him?
Hideki's a great player. He's a super nice guy. He and Shendo are very nice people. I've played a lot of golf with him. I think it's just a matter of time. His game is certainly major championship ready. There's no doubt that he'll win majors, I think, in his career. And for him, it's just a matter of getting himself into the position enough times to where it'll go his way. a couple of those putts will go in and on the back nine, and I think that's what it'll come down to. I don't think it's he has to do anything differently. I think he's ready already.
Number 2 on the left.
Jordan, did you prevail in your match against the Jones boys? And secondly, as someone who grew up in a competitive environment with a brother like that, what are your thoughts on two brothers playing in a major championship?
Yeah, we just had a little, you know, like birdie skins type thing, and I think I edged him out. I'm not sure. We were having some fun. Just two of the nicest people around, Matt and Brett. I think it's awesome. I couldn't even imagine being somewhere on this stage in the same sport with my brother, given we separated in what we were doing so long ago. And I root so hard for him that it'd be just a weird scenario actually playing against him as well. I mean, I'd obviously still be rooting for him to play his best, but I mean, what a cool experience for that family. I know Matt has his couple girls and Brett has his couple boys here, so to kind of have a family reunion while still such an exciting week for them. Matt approached me a while back asking if I wanted to play 9 holes with them. I said, yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad we could make it work today. And we had a great time with it, and really wish them both the best. As Matt as a buddy on tour, and Brett, and I think it's his first really PGA Tour start in his career. So it'll be an exciting tee shot for him tomorrow, and hopefully he gets off and running.
Number 2, please.
Jordan, for those of us who follow you from Illinois, there's some changes on the tour schedule next year, and you could be at the Olympics and possibly not back at John Deere. Any disappointment maybe not being able to go back and defend your title there next year?
Yeah, certainly disappointing that they're the same week. It's obvious the decision I would make, but at the same time, it's a tournament that's close to my heart and one that I hope to get back to someday, depending on how schedules fall. When I saw the 16 schedule and the Olympics fall on the same date, sure, I was a little disappointed about it for a tournament that I feel is a good golf course for me, and one that each year we kind of get some momentum off of. And the people there are so fantastic that hopefully it'll be hard, you know, missing them at least for a year.
Right down here, number 3, please.
Jordan, given what you said about, you know, preparing for some, you know, Whistling Straits peculiar shots, is that more important this week than the length off the tee or anything like that? You know, whether you're a long hitter, short hitter, some of the things that you might encounter once the ball comes to rest?
Yeah, I think so, and that's what's changed significantly from my first my impressions coming in before I had played. I thought it was going to be more of a bomber's paradise. The fairways are very narrow here, and the rough's thick enough to where it affects these approach shots, where you really, really do need to be in the fairway. The bunkers can be a little inconsistent, which is what they want to be. That's not a negative term by any means. It's just the way it is, the type of sand it is. You can catch a good lie, and you can catch a lie where it's tough to advance it without trying to hit it thin. So I think there's more of a premium on hitting a fairway than there is on just bombing it out there and playing in from there. Certain holes are there. Number 4 with the right wind can be a big advantage for those guys that can carry it 315, because then they can get it all the way down the slope on a wider fairway and hit a wedge in. But there's very few of those holes. And number 5 with the new tee box, you know, it takes 2 really good shots with the correct wind to be able to reach it anyways, and it's not even necessarily that worth it. So yeah, I think it's more about ball control off of uneven lies. And being able to control your distance as well to keep the ball on the greens.
Number 4 on the left.
Jordan, is there any particular part of Rory's game that you envy, or anything that you think he does particularly well that you wish you did?
Sure, I wish I could hit it as far as he does. Yeah, I wish, you know, and I work towards that. I've gotten a little bit longer each year and hopefully can continue to do so. But the way he hits, when he's driving the ball well, just like Dustin, just like Bubba, when they're hitting the ball straight with as far as they do, they're playing a different golf course, and I certainly envy that. There's not much I could do about it right now other than try and hit my approaches even closer and make a few more putts. But, yeah, Rory's an inspiring player, as you guys already know, and I enjoy playing with him. It's fun when you can feed off guys that are incredible golfers, but that's kind of everyone that we play with week to week now.
Number 2, straight down.
Jordan, I always appreciate you saying we instead of I, your humility. Is that something your parents taught you?
I don't know. I figure I have Michael's with me on the course. He's the one that's a part of each decision that we make as far as preparing for what we do. I have Cameron. I have my trainer, Damon, sports chiro, manager. Everybody gets stuff ready for us to play our best golf. And I'm the one hitting the shots and hitting the putts and getting the credit, I guess. But at the same time, I believe that this is we're a brand, we're a company, we're competing together all for the same goal, and I try to align myself with the best at what they do in the world, because then that'll free me up. I won't have to worry about any other parts of my life on and off the course, and it seems to be working. We got a great team, and no one's been scared of the next level. And that's why we are where we are right now. So I believe that, on and off the course, it's not just me.
Let's go 2 and then 3.
Jordan, how would you compare Chambers Bay to Whistling Straits? More challenging comparisons?
Very different. The views are pretty similar. They're both beautiful golf courses. I like golf courses alongside water, bodies of water. Chambers was brown. This is green. This is lush, rough. Chambers was, there was very little rough. It was just hit the fairways or play out of sand traps. You could also run the ball up certain holes at Chambers. You can't do that here, especially with the softer conditions. This doesn't play like a links golf course at all. Chambers was as close on American links as I've played to playing overseas. But it was also still not the same. The 3 courses other than Augusta National, the 3 major championship golf courses this year, all play extremely different from the next. And this is more of a Chambers is more of a premium on driving. Chambers was more of a bomber's course, I felt like. You could get away with missing some drives, and you could hit, as long as you hit it out their ways, it was advantageous on a lot of holes. This one, I think, as the week goes on, if the wind's up, if the greens firm up, there's more of a premium on hitting the small areas of the fairway. And in that, I think it's more of a tee to green and kind of controlling off of uneven lies. Chambers Bay was more of an imagination around the greens.
3, please.
Jordan, how did you get Justin Thomas as your partner yesterday? Was there a specific setting over the years where you guys first met and became close? And can you just kind of tell us your best Justin story?
Yeah, he texted me and asked if I wanted to be in the game. Justin and Phil had put it together, and so Phil said he'll bring Ricky, and Justin said I'll get Jordan, and so that was easy for me. I met Justin when I was 13, he was 14, we were both 13 or 14 at the time at a AJGA, a national junior golf event for I want to say 14 to 16-year-old age group in Texas. And he and I were in the last group. It was a 2-day tournament, and we battled it out. And I etched him out that day, and then he etched me out throughout. We kind of went back and forth throughout that year, and then became close and started to travel to the same tournaments. And when I started to branch out and play more national golf, he was already traveling quite a bit, and we became very close. Yeah, good buddies. We've played together in those kind of matches a lot over the years. We've also played against each other a lot, and in through college, and now out here. So it's cool. It's great to have good friends like him, and Emiliano Grillo, who's been playing over on the European Tour, is going to work his way back over here. Daniel Berger was in our class. Ollie Schneider-Jans. It's really cool to have these guys that, I wish we had a picture of all of us from a player dining dinner time at a national AJGA event. You'd see in our same class, you'd see 7 or 8 noticeable faces that are going to be on the PGA Tour next year. And I think that's pretty amazing. I don't know if that's happened in any other class. So it's great to see these good friends for a lot of years come out here and take on the tour.
Okay, we have time for 3 quick ones. Let's go 2.
Jordan, during your career, you've proven to be a quick learner, whether it was Augusta a couple years ago or St. Andrews just last month. How do you explain your ability to process information so quickly the first time you see a golf course?
The first time you see a golf course? I didn't really have another choice. You either do it or you don't have a job. When I first came out, I mean, if you don't learn quickly how to play golf courses that you haven't played before, you're going to be very, very far behind. It's going to be tough to adjust. I don't know how, other than just realizing that it was live or die. We do a good job of dissecting the most important information on courses. We know where my misses are, what my tendencies are. We're able to dissect those early to then, in practice rounds, understand where I would commonly miss a shot and be able to practice from there, so then I have it in the tournament and I've already seen it. So it's just about visualizing what you've already seen, and recognizing that playing the way I've played growing up will work on the PGA Tour, other than maybe dialing back that aggressiveness just a little bit in certain times. So that was a little. There are tournaments where I certainly lost tournaments that I should have won based on playing too conservatively, and ones I've played too aggressive over these past couple years. And we found the right balance in these ones that I have closed it out. And even we found the right balance in ones that I didn't close out, but other guys just played a little bit better. So it's just about really trial and error.
Number one.
Jordan, how would you say your life has changed in the last few months?
Starting to notice a little difference, really. Instead of being recognized in and around Dallas and Austin and really the state of Texas at dinners and wherever you go, just people recognizing you there. Now it kind of happens everywhere. Recognizing that people, I guess now, pay attention more to the majors than anywhere else, and so throughout the last few months, it's harder to get around. You've got to find different ways to go about it, find secret passageways, places, and whatever it is, find corner booths. But at the same time, it's not negative. It's something that's really cool. It's a great problem to have. I wouldn't want it any other way. I really wouldn't. But there are certain things you can and can't do that you maybe could before, but also great new opportunities have opened themselves up that I wouldn't have ever dreamt of having. So it's mostly all good, and a couple, if you want to have a quiet dinner, you better bring it home to your house. I mean, that's about it.
Okay, let's wrap it up here, number three.
Two things, Jordan. If you had a goal of being number one in the world, did you ever set a time frame for when you wanted to see that happen? And secondly, if your goal at the start of the year was to make the cut in all the majors and get in contention in one of them, what do you do now?
I did not have a time frame when I set that. When that was a goal, that was just a career goal. At one point in my career, I'd like to be. Given everything that's happened, I believe now that I'd like it, obviously, to be sooner rather than later, and then to be able to hold on to it. That's a whole other animal, as I'm sure Rory knows, Adam Scott knows, Luke Donald knows. There's Tiger, these guys that are in this field, Martin Keimer. There's a VJ. There's a number of them that understand what it's like. I don't know what that feels like yet. That'll be a new goal if I can accomplish the one prior at some point in my career. I still haven't accomplished that goal set at the beginning of the year that I said I wanted to make the cut in all the majors. I hadn't done that before, and I wanted to contend and have a chance to win at least one of them. Certainly they've gone according to plan up to this point, but that first part of that goal still has yet to be accomplished. So I've got some work to do these first 2 days, and from there we'll adjust and work our butts off to try and get a third major this year, which would be a pretty cool place in history to be a part of.